Hey there YouTube, this is sjm4306 back with another video. This is a long time coming. I'm getting back into doing more repairs, so here is a double repair, actually, double feature. One of my viewers, Joseph, he had two broken Game Boys, and so he sent them in to be repaired. And so these are them. One was his, and one was his sister's. I'm gonna guess his was not the pink one, but you know, I'm not gonna judge. Anyway, I'm just joking. So they are very well loved, very well used, but he wanted not just an LCD replacement because, spoiler, that's the problem that they're having. Their LCDs don't work or have various issues. We'll get to that in a sec. But most importantly, the shells are pretty beat up, and he wanted to get them, you know, snazzied up. So the pink one has a replacement pink shell, and his is a graphite, actually, which is one of the less common versions, but it's pretty scuffed up. So he opted for this very nice mint green one. I have a case that's the same color, and it does look very nice. So, and I did a shell swap video on mine with this exact color like ages ago when I was in college. So anyway, first thing you always do is just test it. So here's my modded Game Boy. I took the battery out of here because this was the only Game Boy I could find that had a charged battery, and I can't find the charger for them. Still unpacking everything, so just bear with me. Guess it's just a matter of opening these guys up. I have not tested these yet. Oh, these already have batteries in them. Okay. You can see the screen is also quite a bit dirty, but yeah, it's the batteries, it's very low. Yeah, this has like no image at all, but I can hear the speaker. It did the chime, and yeah, so this guy definitely needs a new screen. Hopefully it's not the motherboard, but I guess we'll find that out when we open this. I may or may not have some spare motherboards, but I'm pretty sure the only spare motherboards I have are 001s, the front lit model, which are not compatible directly with the backlit LCDs that we ordered. So, this guy also has a battery. Okay, I think he said he also bought replacement batteries. So these are brand new batteries. They should be good. Probably need a charge. Really need to find my charging cord. This one does turn on, the screen does work, but wow, there's something very interesting going on with this backlight and or polarizer. You can see like striations diagonally across, which makes me think that that's like the adhesive on the polarizer that like chemically reacted. But there's also like some staining, it almost looks like. So yeah, I almost wonder if there was some kind of liquid ingress, but yeah. I mean, this LCD still works. It's just the backlight is toast. I don't have any spare backlights, and we just ended up going the route of buying brand new LCDs, which I've got here. Warning, new LCDs. So yeah, I've done pretty much this entire video before. These are the replacement LCDs. They look like they're good to go. So what I'm going to do is, oh yeah, what I'm going to do, I guess, is just kind of parallel take both of these apart, strip them down, get them to their undies, and we'll take it from there. If anything differs in this process from anything that I've done in the past, I'll slow down and actually explain it. But these should be pretty routine by the book. I don't expect any major things to pop out. Possibly on this one, I'm really hoping that there's not going to be an issue with the motherboard on this one. That's just the LCD. There's always a chance when you have a totally dead screen that it is something wrong with the motherboard or the ZIF connector, not just the LCD. So, but we'll see. Anyway, let's just pop these open. I guess while I'm doing this, I'll just chat with you guys a bit. Still setting up, this is my old bench, but in my new house, clearly. Still setting it up. I've got a bunch of random projects that I'm working on right now as I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. And this is how I'm spending my Friday night. Ooh, okay, that just sprung out. Let's just not lose that. That would be very nice. Huh. Okay, so this guy has been apart before, it looks like, because the springs are not put in correctly. They're actually swapped. The spring for the right one is put in the left one and vice versa. And I can tell that because there's actually a recess that this little tine is supposed to go into, but because they're swapped, it can't, because they're mirrored. Anyway, not a big deal. Hopefully the rest of this is okay. And just taking a quick look, and I don't see anything major wrong with this. Just obviously gonna need to clean around the ports. They're pretty dirty. Get some compressed air in there, but yeah, I'll do that on my own time. The shoulder buttons feel good, so that's at least good. Yeah, anyway, the other one looks in better condition. Once again, it is kind of crusty near the charge ports. The shoulder buttons on these are okay. It looks like maybe, yeah, there was maybe some kind of corrosion near this back end, because around the buttons are really dirty. But yeah, it doesn't look like anything with the PCB is wrong or anything like that. And it is, oh yeah, a little rusty here. Right on this switch. So yeah, definitely this Game Boy, maybe that's what discolored the LCD. Maybe there was some moisture ingress. And I can see a little bit of corrosion on some of these components here, so we're gonna have to get some IPA and clean those out. Okay, let's lift the skirt a little bit, and that ribbon, let's get that boy out. Just gonna use my fingers, and there we go. So the ribbon is disconnected. Top of this board, one of the membranes came along for the ride. Top of this board looks actually really good. So there's nothing physically wrong. Possibly electrically, we need to hook this up to the new display, and hopefully, I heard the sounds of the CPUs obviously running and booting, but got to make sure the SIF connector is fine, and anything electrically is fine with the connections. Just realized this crystal is slightly crooked. It was installed that way from the factory then, probably. Soldering looks factory done. It's interesting. Now for this guy. Yeah. Same dealio. There we go, ribbon popped out. This boy, a little bit dusty-ish. Yeah, there's some corrosion there. But it did turn on, so I'm guessing that it's not affecting operation yet. But we are definitely going to want to clean that off, scrub it down, and make sure that that doesn't cause long-term issues with, like, if you leave corrosion on a board over a very long time, it can start to actually eat down into the metal and cause it to fail later down the line if you don't deal with it as soon as possible. The pins are a little bit dirty here, looking like the cart slot pins, so definitely need to give those a clean. Yeah, if this rust is any indicator, probably there's some corrosion that also got down into there. The pink one, pins look perfect, no problems at all. So just as a quick test before we go through the whole process of swapping the LCDs here, I'm going to just take the bare LCDs, hook them up to these, and hold the battery, and make sure that they at least turn on and the new screens work with them. Turns on. No speaker, obviously, so no audio, but yeah, you can see the display looks perfect. So that's good. The other one, same test. Boots, looks good. Let's actually stick a game in, just make sure that the game itself boots. A little more worried about this rusty one now. Hopefully it'll work just fine. that one I might hold off on testing this game so I don't make the contacts dirty on this game. And then test it once we get it cleaned up. So there we go. And we're in. Once it gets to the title screen, yeah. I mean, looks like it's working. Yeah, there we go. So this Game Boy has no issues other than that screen. The old screen was not doing so great for some reason. Yeah, this guy, I'm going to fully clean it. Because there's corrosion on the pins, if I insert a good cart into here, it's going to dirty the new cart, the good cart. So I don't want to do that, especially when this game is not particularly cheap anymore. I have 2 copies of this, and when I got them, they were like $35 each. And I just ended up getting 2 of them. It's my favorite game on the platform. But anyway, now they're like something stupid. They're like over 100 or something. I don't even know. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's remove these screens and set them aside so they don't get damaged or anything. Ah, it's one of these like limited edition Rayquaza. You can see right there the logo. That's interesting. That's actually different than mine. Mine is like mint green. This is actually more like a deeper green. But there we go. We're gonna have to swap the hinges too. I just realized this does not come with the hinge parts. Oh yeah, you can definitely see moisture damage. It's all rusted inside. Yeah, water got into this 100%, and that's what messed up that backlight. And probably looks like it like damaged the polarizing filters too. I can see like striations on it. That's interesting. Okay, unfortunately there was a casualty. The plastic broke. You do have to kind of put a decent amount of force to get those hinges out. And these were a little bit crusty, so yeah, they took a little more force than I usually like to use. So yeah, anyway, this case was pretty beat up, so if he wants, I can glue this and send this back if he wants to keep this case as a memento. But yeah, the hinge itself, even if you could get a new set of hinges back in this case, is not really going to hold up. Unfortunately, plastics get brittle when they age. This is always the hardest part for me, so because you got to get it aligned. Like, the tolerance isn't perfect. It's kind of a bit of a finagle to get things to line up right, and when you're doing it by hand, like, I've never been able to get it perfect spot on ever. It's just, I do the best I can. Anyway, there's a protective film over this. We want to make sure that the area is relatively clean and never set this face down onto anything. So I'm going to remove this protective film now. And from this point on, I'm just going to treat this LCD like it's really delicate. This is a polycarbonate plastic lens. So these are the easier ones to put on. They do make glass aftermarket lenses. Those are harder because if you mess up, you can't just bend it to peel the lens off. This one bends. I wouldn't bend it too far, but it bends plenty enough that you can easily reposition it. And I'm gonna do this closer to my eyes so I can actually see what the heck I'm doing. Okay, I just set it down. I didn't press it down yet. I'm going to plug this back in, turn it on, and then make sure that the image, before I actually firmly press it down, make sure the image looks as good as I can physically get it. Yeah, it's reasonably square. Like I said, it's pretty much impossible by hand. You'd have to, I think they do make 3D printed, or you could download and print 3D printed jigs to get it better, but it's still never going to be perfect when you're doing it by hand. Sort of curls like that, so that when you open and close it, there's some slack in the wire itself. What I'm gonna actually do is just clean this. I need to do that at this point, because at this point I would actually be screwing this down kind of permanently and then continuing on with it. But I'm going to clean this, and while I'm at it, well, I guess before I finish that, this one's already good to go, the board, so I'm going to do the same LCD swap. I'm not going to bore you guys with it. I'm going to do it on my own time and get up to this point, and I'll finish the pink one first because this is going to require more work. So while I was doing this pink one, I found out why this LCD doesn't work. Look at that, if you can see it. It actually has a little crease in the ribbon itself, and it looks like the last 3 or 4 conductors are torn. There you go. You can actually hopefully see that. Yeah, this might be a candidate for microsurgery soldering. I might give that a try when I get the patience and the steady hands to do it. But for now, yeah, we're just gonna stick a new screen, because even if you do fix the ribbons on these kind of Game Boys, chances are, unless if you stabilize it really well, the tear can only spread, and even the fix that you apply, because it's at the worst point in the bending movement, it could definitely come back and tear the ribbon and tear the wires that you soldered again in the future. Yeah, so speaker works. Probably should have checked the speaker before I buttoned everything up. Yeah, everything seems to work. Yeah. Okay, so I call this one pretty much done. I'm going to do the green one real quick right now, because I'm actually going to need to run up and grab some Q-tips to clean off everything on the board here. And you don't need to see me do the same assembly that I did on the pink one on the green one. So I'll come back when both of them are completely done and ready to go. Okay, so like I noted, this guy has quite a bit of corrosion, and I was able to clean everything up, with the exception so far of this shoulder button does not work. I can't get it to work. So we're actually going to try to pull this and clean inside, because there's quite a bit of rust around there, so chances are that it's just dirty inside. Thing is, you kind of need something a little pointy to get in there, and there we go. It'll just pop out. Make sure you do not lose that. And yeah, there's even gunk in there, so chances are there's actually just something in there physically. So I'm actually just gonna douse isopropyl alcohol with like a Q-tip into there. Just get a whole bunch. Just kind of get it in there and then press it a bunch. Sorry about that. I know it's hard to see. But yeah, hopefully that's enough. I'm gonna take a little bit of compressed air. Spray it into there. Hopefully that's enough to loosen up whatever gunk was in there. If this doesn't work, then it's probably going to need just a new shoulder button, which is going to be a bit of a pain, but hopefully this is enough to get it kick-started. You want to get 1/2 of it in first and then just sort of work around tucking the rubber into there. Already it feels clickier, so I think that's an improvement. Let's get into the game and see if pressing it can get it to work now. I wish I had one of those the carts that just test all the buttons, because that would save me a lot of effort of having to So this one works. This is supposed to backdash. Currently does nothing. Just have a feeling that probably the contacts inside the switch are just so corroded, and just cleaning it out. Cleaning it out only works if like dust and like gunk got in. Not gunk, but like dust and like debris. But if corrosion actually gets in there and settles on the pins, then yeah, no amount of cleaning is going to fix that. Oh, darn it. So yeah, I guess the next step, what I can do is, so there's this metal bracket. So this is actually going to turn into a more in-depth fix, so you guys can enjoy this. I've done this before. Pull out the rubber thing again, take an X-Acto knife and carefully cut these little plastic things. We'll get in between the metal and the plastic and break those rivets. Then you can bend the switch back enough to actually directly access the pads. You can take that metal disc out then, and you can directly scrub the pads clean underneath. And probably the inside of that metal disc that was in there that clicks, probably the underside of it has a bunch of junk on it now. So just gonna try and do that as carefully as possible. If not, then I just need a whole new switch, unfortunately, which might be a pain to get at this point. I don't know. Do they sell aftermarket? I'm sure they do. A little more of a difficult involved to repair by this point. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna pry this off camera so I don't slip and like cut a trace or something stupid. So give me 1 sec. Okay, sorry about the wobbliness. Yeah, you can see just how much crud there is there. Just like all that brown junk. That's what's got underneath there probably. So I'm gonna pull that disc out just now. I wish I had a smaller pair of tweezers. I do have them. I didn't unpack them yet, so I have no idea where they physically are. So I just need to, there we go. Yeah, you can see how much crud there is. That is what is preventing the button from pressing. So I have to clean both this disc and the inside of that. That's going to require lots of IPA and Q-tips. Though Q-tips probably not going to, maybe not fit in there. So what I'm actually going to do is just scrape the inside of this actually. So the way these switches work, I'm really sorry, it's hard to see. There's actually 3 parts, 3 metal pads in there. There's a circular center pad, and then on either end, the top and the bottom, there's like a rectangular pad. So it's just like circle and then 2 rectangles on either side. And this disc touches the 2 edge rectangles, but when you press down, it connects to the center one to the both edges at the same time. And on the edges, one of them can be dirty as long as it makes contact with either one, because they're both wired in parallel. But if the center one is dirty and all the edge ones, then it's not going to connect clearly. So this needs to be cleaned out really well. So give me 1 second. This is a bit fiddly. Okay, so I just cleaned everything. Actually ended up using this little like pin needle thing to scrape, very lightly scrape the extra crud away, not to like remove any of the metal, but just the crud that was in there. And I put it all back together. I scraped the bottom of the disc as well, and then I cleaned them off with extra IPA. Just put a bunch of IPA in there, and just sort of pushed it back in. Now, if you don't support this and I press this button, it could actually push it back out, because those plastic studs we had to cut to get this open. So the back of this actually does have a bit of supporting material, so it's not going to be that big of an issue, I think. But long term, I'm actually just going to, once I confirm that this works, just going to put a little bit of super glue around to more firmly attach this metal back to the plastic. But I'm going to test it before I do that. One thing you have to really be careful of if you super glue something like this is that the super glue, you only use a tiny bit. You don't put enough that it seeps in and then gets in and then wicks all the way into the contacts and then coats them with a non-conductive layer. That will ruin the switch, and then you're going to have to replace it anyway. Now it works. So you can see the right shoulder button works, and now the left one works. So yeah, that was a success in terms of fixing the button itself. Now, like I said, I have to figure out how to actually secure it, because I no longer have those plastic studs I can just melt back in. So yeah, it's probably going to end up being some kind of glue, but preferably one that's not watery enough to actually damage anything. Okay, so the last thing that I did was inserted the rubber pads. The original ones have a little bit of adhesive. The aftermarket ones all just kind of press fit, and they hold in by friction. So that's good enough. They're not going to pop out unless if you take like a sharp object and pry at them, which should not happen during normal use. So yeah, this guy, just fire this on. Audio works nice and loud. Screen looks great. These are backlit AGS 101s, obviously. So yeah. So right shoulder button works. Left works. B, A, left, right, up, down. Select, start, good to go. Do the exact same test on this guy, and obviously the cart reader works. I did clean this a little bit. I noticed one of the pins in particular was a little dirty, so I actually used the card that they hold the buttons in. I soaked it in IPA in the corner here, and I just ran it back and forth to clean off most of the junk, and then I manually took this and actually I took this blade, which is a bit longer, and I manually carefully just removed the extra junk and then ran this card through again to clean it up. And yeah, this volume control probably could use a little IPA in it. I'll play around with this. Probably the contacts are not corroded, but oxidized slightly. So usually if you don't use like potentiometers for quite a while, they'll get a little bit crusty inside. Usually just playing with it a little bit fixes it. You can see already it's improved just from me sliding it back and forth. Just gonna put the battery it came with back in. Okay, I dug out a cord. Took me quite a while to find it. So we're just gonna plug this in like this. See, it's charging. I'm gonna off camera let this fully charge up, make sure that it shuts off and it fully charges. So that works. At least the charging port works, that means. This one was quite a bit dirtier, so hopefully this, yeah, this one charges as well, which is a good sign. So yeah, what I'm gonna do, like I said, both of these guys, I only have one cord that I can find. I modified this to charge off of USB, by the way. So I'm gonna plug these in and let these fully charge and play a little bit of maybe like an hour or two each. Make sure that they continue working, don't develop any problems. All the buttons still continue working after I put a little bit of wear into them. And then I can send these back to Joseph. So yeah. But yeah, that was generally how to reshell 2 Game Boy Advance SPs. These were 101s in particular. And I replaced them with 101 LCDs, which were backlit. And also, more interesting for me was fixing this shoulder button. So if they're not too bad, you can get away with this fix that I did for the shoulder button. If they're too bad, then you just need to replace the shoulder button. Unfortunately, that's just the way that they work. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely plan on doing more kind of tinkering and repair videos now that I have my lab sort of maybe halfway set up. It'll take me a little while to get everything fully set up to the way it was before. Still got lots of stuff to unpack. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.